Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. What a pleasure being here in
Thank you
Panama.
guys. Thank you guys for coming down from Costa Rica.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us.
Thank you so much. We are really excited to be here in Panama.
Well, we're here on the RedFi podcast. I'm Steven. I'm here with Stephanie Sanchez, MissCryptoLawyer, and Tom McCullen. He is Marijuana Jesus.
That is correct.
Well, I want to get this conversation started. I know we have a bunch of different things that we're talking about in terms of business and various opportunities. First, can you give us a little bit of background about you, Stephanie? What's your journey that's brought you to Panama today?
Okay, first of all, me as a MissCryptoLawyer, I'm an attorney based in Costa Rica and Notary Public as well, but most focusing and passionate for blockchain and new technologies. I have a couple masters in this matter, and I'm focusing this business because I saw a big opportunity to become a leader in the region because there's not too many attorneys working in this path. But at the same time, I was involved in two different projects at the same time, not just in the crypto, in the cannabis medicinal industry in my country. And then I met this guy in a business table talking about our own projects. And then we create a new brand related with this industry, the cannabis medicinal in the region. So we are mixing the best of the two different words. So it's really amazing, interesting, because with this we can create now a crypto economy around these projects. In the past, we just have the opportunity to just build something like in the typical industry, but now we can have two different backgrounds and expose better these new projects together.
That sounds fantastic. So who is this gentleman that we're here with today?
Well, my name is Thomas McCullen, and I'm the CEO and founder of Green Mountain Medical Pharmacies, which will be the first set of pharmacies opening up throughout Costa Rica, Colombia, and Panama for medical marijuana. And I'm also a co-founder along with MissCryptoLawyer Stephanie here with Tico Canna, which is our new brand of cannabis company that we're going to be launching, which we are very excited to be taking a part of, not just between us, but with you, Stephen, with Tesaris, and we are very excited about this project.
So am I. Just a little bit of background for our listeners that don't already know who I am. My name is Stephen Clark, originally from Panama, grew up in the States. My Spanish isn't as good as it used to be as a kid, but I'm glad to be back in Panama and working on some pretty innovative projects, and we're really excited about being part of the RedFi ecosystem, and with Tesaris identifying really great projects to collaborate with and bring to the marketplace. I think, I don't know that we need to spend too much time about me. I'm a geek that, is
But
involved
you're a really
in...
interested person.
Very interesting.
You have a really good background in
For
not just
sure.
in crypto.
Sure.
Working in the cannabis industry and
Yeah.
other projects. So
I
it
can-
will be super interesting.
Yeah,
to
I can
know.
touch on that.
Please.
So my background started a long time ago in the electrical industry. I helped design some software that is used by the U.S. government for electricity deregulation. Did some things in ad tech for Yahoo, inventing contextual advertising, which really helped me think about very large-scale systems. When Ethereum became a big thing, my DevOps background came into play, and I started getting involved in the Ethereum DAO and a bunch of other things. Fast forward to 2018, I came back to Panama because I thought Ethereum would be a super important technology, and I think the world needed a safe place to operate this technology. We're here at ETH Canal. Thank you guys for joining us. We've had a really great time this past week. I think Panama is interesting. When I was living in Panama, we got in touch. We were contacted by a set of California farmers back in 2020, I believe, and they had a problem. They wanted crypto native e-commerce platform for California. It's super complicated. And this team, they wanted me to deal with all the complexities. Actually, I talked about this at ETH Panama in 2022. All the different things that were necessary to pull off a legal, crypto-enabled cannabis platform in California. So I was delighted to hear about your project because, again, we have an opportunity to support an ecosystem that needs real-world utility. Cannabis, living in San Francisco, California for a while became super important to me. I found it very beneficial medicine for me, as opposed to other treatments for things like ADHD and other things. I think it's a super important technology and medicine, so I'm glad to be partnering with the both of you on these projects. I'd love to, Stephanie, if you can tell me, what is I know we've talked privately about medicine and the healing aspects of cannabis and natural medicines in general. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, this it was approved in Costa Rica in 2022, 21. Sorry.
No, 2022 March.
Yeah, it's been a long time. This part we was waiting for the bylaws that it's already was published like 1 month ago or 3 weeks, something like that. So until now, almost 4 years later, we are ready for bring all this industry to everybody to healing themselves, because it's not just there is a lot of stigmas about the plant. And most in our society that is super conservative society, I know that it's the same in Panama, it's the same in all Latin America. Even there is another countries in Latin America, in Central America, that they is still behind in the business because they are really like kind of against to the drugs cartel and all these things that for sure we don't support. We are totally legit. We have to pass a lot of filters in the ICD and another institutions, government institutions, that they approve it, that all the legit funds and everything, the background check of everybody, every person, because in the medicinal industry, yeah, for sure, it could be people that they want to use this new channel for make them legal, but it's really tough to get into because you have to be super clear person. So we are happy that we are in the industry, in the region, and we have this legitimation. But at the same point, there is something interesting because in our region, what they are doing with this regulation, it's putting the pharmacy industry as in the table for them. So it was one of the really aspect that we was like fighting in the with the regulator, because they made it the business for the pharmacy industry, and we wasn't there. We just I don't have the knowledge for growing and all the stuff. I just know the legal matter. Tom is the genius in that. So in that point, we realized that we have to cover all the supply chain, not just grow it, not just import it and export product globally, worldwide. We need to become a pharmacy chain.
Wow.
So now we are in that path with our in all the supply chain, and we are ready to export and bring all this product to everybody, everywhere. Even my personal experience, it healed myself. I have the God hand touching me, and my family as well. We received last year, that my father had Parkinson. So when I show him how can he feel better and recovery, just taking a couple drops of the
Rick
Simpson oil,
Correct.
it's amazing because it changed lives. It changed, definitely.
So which is the brand that is the pharmacy? So you guys are pharmacists now, is that what I'm
Now.
hearing?
We're a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So we are the entire supply chain.
Okay.
We provide genetics, We provide the nurseries to sell our genetics around the world. We also supply the cultivation facility, the manufacturing facility, the distribution part of the chain, along with the pharmacy and retail side of the chain. So there's many people around the world that understand each one of those aspects as a whole, but there's very few people that have the knowledge to build the entire seed chain, which is absolutely necessary specifically for Costa Rica, Panama, and Colombia, and other Central American countries or Latin American countries. So this is a very unique position that we have to capitalize on this and actually make Latin America the pinnacle for everyone to look towards, right? We want to put these countries on the pedestal for the world to kind of aspire to and see how we can do this correctly.
That's excellent.
There is 2 points that I forgot, but it's really important. When we submitted our application, we used blockchain as well as a tool because it's perfectly fit with the traceability that they needed. And actually, the government is working in a traceability system, so we have another opportunity to be there to support and showing how it works. Blockchain as a case of use in this industry.
Yeah, traceability is super important. I know
Absolutely.
my experience in California with the seed to sale taxation by county was really important. What lessons, Tom, you are from California, you're a former Californian.
Yes.
In Costa Rica, is that a thing? California's going to Costa Rica? I think
It
might be a
seems to
thing.
be a lot more of a thing now, but technically I'm originally from San Diego until just after college, right? And then I spent most of my time in Oregon and in Florida.
Okay.
But my cannabis journey originally started in Oregon when I was first diagnosed with cancer back in 2006. It brought me on a different path. At that time, I was living in Florida, where it was illegal at the time for cannabis. And so after many treatments, traditional treatments, they did not work for me. So I was left with one other opportunity. So I took 3 months off of my life, and I went to Oregon, and I took a treatment called Rick Simpson oil. 3 months later, I came back to my Mayo Clinic, and my oncologist had asked me, what has you done differently? And she turned the screen around and my cancer was gone. So from that point, I decided to change my life and move to Oregon to dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people like myself with cancers, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ALS, you name it, chronic pains, glaucoma, that the list goes on and on. As I started helping these other patients, I started realizing how beneficial and how much more the medical marijuana, as far as Rick Simpson oil, could literally help not just save lives, but also save the families of those lives. Because what I've realized through this journey is it's not just about the patient, it's also about the families that are dealing with the issue with their patients and with their loved ones. The families go just through as much torture and pain and suffering as sometimes someone like myself going through that experience. So being able to give not just peace of mind and comfortability and better quality of life to someone that's going through something so detrimental to their life, it's such a blessing to be able to see how it absolutely helps the family and surrounding friends of those as well. And together, between helping the two of them, it's been a miracle to see how with what my oils and our products can help heal not just the patients but the families and friends around.
Yeah, I my family went through some losses, and I can empathize with that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
Can you tell me more about Rick Simpson oil? How did you discover it?
Sure.
What is it?
Sure. Well, to be honest, I had no idea of Rick Simpson oil or anything about it until I was diagnosed with cancer and I was struggling trying to get through my cancer. A very, very close friend of mine in the state of Oregon, when I was living in Florida, had found out what I was going through, and he had asked me to just come spend some time with him for 3 months. And it was Rick Simpson oil that he put me on. Rick Simpson oil is a very particular type of strain of cannabis, which is primarily a 100% indica dominant strain. And what these strains, they're basically, when you create Rick Simpson oil, it's done in one particular way, which allows the decarboxylation process to align the delta 9 properties in the cannabis, which will allow, I basically tell my patients and explain in this way, I like to think of the cannabis oil or the RSO, Rick Simpson oil, as a receptor that will literally flow through. You take it orally, or you can take it by suppository, depending on what the patient's going through. That oil is designed to go through the body, search out abnormalities like tumors, cancers, all types of things, right? And what it does is it literally opens each cancer cell and literally reprograms these cancer cells into telling them to no longer supply or leach off of the blood supply, which holds the sugars and everything that feed cancer, as we know. So in reality, what basically the Rick Simpson oil is it's a blockade which no longer allows the blood or fuel to feed the cancer. And what happens after several months of ingesting this Rick Simpson oil on a daily basis is it literally eliminates every single cancer cell in the body and tells it to starve, because if it cannot feed off of the blood supply, it cannot survive. And here we are today, and I've helped thousands, literally thousands of cancer patients with stage 3 and late stage 4 patients that have told me that that their doctors told them there was nothing left for them to do. And I've literally helped save these lives. And so this is a big movement, and with working with you and Stephanie, I feel like with Tesseris, I feel like you guys are going to be able to give us the platform to be able to offer this amazing medicinal property that so many people do not have the understanding of, but this can help us help with consumer education.
Absolutely.
And get this product not just locally in the markets here where we're setting up, but worldwide.
Yeah, I think you touched on blockchain technology. We're here at Eat Canal talking about technology, talking about policy, talking about usability of these tools. I've seen cannabis as one of those really great opportunities with the treatments that you have been sharing with the world.
Yes.
I think blockchain technology is unique in making it so that people could really understand what the efficacy is of these things. I mean,
safety.
We have AI these days, and we're wondering what's real, what isn't. With blockchain and treatments at a pharmacy level, let's say, you can have the crypto-economic incentives or awareness so that people can know who's buying, or in as much privacy as they want to allow. How is this useful in the traditional medicine world? And I'm not in traditional medicine. There's a lot of prescriptions, there's a lot of variants, there's a lot of noise that I think it's really difficult for a regular person to understand. I think blockchain can really unlock a little bit more clarity, a little bit more signal to connect people to something that might be effective for them.
I believe that as well. Total transparency, it gives patients a very good opportunity to trust what they're working with as well.
Yeah, there is in the traditional medicinal industry, there is a case of uses of blockchain in the health industry where they use the patient's files to just have the way to don't change or vary the information that they have, because me as an attorney, my background as well, it wasn't in criminal law. So there is a lot of things that you can avoid if you have a file totally immutable, that don't change at all, because it could be in the patient some negligence, let's say malpractice or something, and it's not a secret for us that in our countries the files disappear.
Yeah.
So it's really important to start to realizing that these have to change. Everybody have to have their own facilities, the filings of their health situation in their hands, no in other hands, and that persons in the health industry, they could change it. Even it's the same in the judicial systems. There is a lot of uses that we can use the technology for give this transparency, this traceability, this fiscalization that is really important.
Yeah, on that point, as we talk about tokenization and how it applies to the cannabis industry, there's a number of different use cases that Tesserus is unlocking with the use of ERC 3643, which allows for legal ownership in different types of assets. And you guys are partners in a business that has multiple different types of IP and licensing and capability. And we've talked a little bit about the various ways that we might approach what we do next in terms of go-to-market, the use of ERC-20 tokens, the use of NFTs, the use of subscriptions.
Yeah.
There's a big universe of applications that we can enable, and I think we're really excited about how we go forward. I know you guys have some, I don't know if you want to share some of the news around some of the regulatory things, wins that you guys have had recently, but suffice to say you guys are making a lot of rapid momentum, and we want to enable that. Is anything that you want to share about the go-to-market that you have in mind?
Yeah,
Sure.
Actually in November, Tom brought it to Costa Rica, a really important doctor. He is one of the main knowledge person in the cannabis and medicinal industry in the States. The doctor's Dustin Sulak, he coming to Costa Rica, and tell them.
So we have a good friend of mine named Dr. Dustin Sulak. He's the world-renowned medical cannabis doctor. He literally wrote the book on how to prescribe and correctly dosage to patients with medical cannabis with all other medications and stuff. So we had the pleasure of having him come out in November. We hosted the very first seminar in Costa Rica, which we ended up having over 200 doctors that were in Costa Rica attend this seminar, where we had actually trained all of these local doctors to prescribe correctly medical cannabis. And since that day, and since November, the doctors that we've trained have almost had we have almost 30,000 patients right now signed up with medical marijuana prescriptions, and we're getting ready to process their medical marijuana cards soon. And we're hoping to open the market. Well, we will be opening the market by June 22nd, and that's when Costa Rica's legislation and new bylaws had just recently came out, acknowledging that with our project and our program, it's going to allow us to do exactly what we planned on doing. So we're looking at opening in June 22nd, and then possibly, most likely, the end of July, beginning of August, we'll be doing the exact same copy-paste thing here in Panama, and the market in Panama will be open, and people will be able to come to Panama and purchase legal medical marijuana in our Green Mountain medical pharmacy chains.
So in the U.S. there's the 420 holiday.
Yes. And
that just passed. Is that a thing in Costa Rica at all?
It is becoming a massive thing now.
Okay.
It will come, and we're going to create
Costa
a
Ricans
movement.
seem to love medical marijuana and cannabis as a whole. We're very Pura Vida on that.
Pura Vida.
Yeah, you have to go to see the Pura Vida live and go to Puerto Viejo. It's super
Santa
next to the
Teresa.
border to Panama, and there's a lot of Pura Vida live.
So next year, 4/20/2026, what do you want to see happen by then? How can we help? How can Tessera's help enable you? How can the RedFi ecosystem enable you?
I'm glad you asked that question, actually. Honestly, I've been hoping that we can host the very first legit 420 holiday in Costa Rica. So I would really like to launch that. I've been speaking with multiple artists, musicians, and things like that, and they're very excited about taking part of this. But we're basically trying to create a massive movement in Costa Rica and then next here in Panama. So
That sounds fantastic.
you
I'd
could
love to
help
be a
with
part of
that,
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. There's it's a great community. I've been really blessed to touch the cannabis ecosystem and provide my technology to it. I wish I were less of a geek to really not be so. It's such a calming thing for me. Like in San Francisco, for Thanksgivings I would have selections of different types of cannabis, and people thought that was a little strange, but for me it was really finding out what worked for me.
Yes.
And it was a unique thing in San Francisco to have so much selection of super high grade quality things that you can be particular, you can do those things, and it was just a massive unlock for me personally.
Yes.
That led me into things like nootropics and really looking at health as something that was important. A little anecdote, back at the City of Knowledge in Panama, back in 2018, I did a presentation, and we had this tech thing called Techie Talks, and my presentation was using software as drugs, using feedback and tracking health data with Apple Health Kit to kind of do a little bit of biohacking. And it was controversial because Panama's a little conservative like Costa Rica, and people were like, what? That was I think that's changing, right?
Yes.
That's all changing, and like
It is.
the crypto ecosystem, things have changed a lot, and any stigmas are going away.
That is
And I
correct.
think we're poised for the future. As crypto lawyer,
Yeah.
where do you see the industry, your business in 2026?
Oh, this is really interesting because, like 1 month ago, the Minister of Health in Costa Rica, she was speaking how now we are opening to the world. So, in this perspective, being supportive for a government in this industry is really important. And there is something particular that now a lot of people that need to heal can come in to our countries in Latin America and do it in in several ways, not just buying the pharmacy. We are creating as well retreat illness
Wellness
healing
center.
wellness project. Tokenizing this project as well will be super interesting, like having people all around the world coming to our countries and enjoy not just the PURA VIDA life, the way to how to healing, because there is not just medicinal marijuana that I will want to share with the people. It saves my life in a different ways, not just the plant, and other natural plants that I use in my life. So I'm super naturalist, and I really want to share this with the world because it helps my life, and I know that it can help others. And my goal in my perspective life is share with everybody everything that it helps me. So I'm really good brand ambassador of our consciousness and awakening of the humanity.
Well, I think I look forward to, I think we'll be hopefully co-authoring a white paper or a green paper, if you will,
Yeah.
Definitely.
on your platform. With Tessera's Labs, what we're trying to do is we're trying to enable real-world assets with real-world utility, and enable that through a real-world assets focused decentralized exchange, so that people can acquire things that are great for their lives. Cannabis subscriptions, cannabis products, real estate items. Stephanie, you are also, the CEO and founder of BlockRock. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, BlockRock, it was a dream that came true long time ago, but it changed with the time because to be an entrepreneur in this industry is really hard. At the beginning, I have some fails like everybody, but now we are launching the project not just in Costa Rica and from Salvador as well, doing as well tokenization centralized with the government. That it will be super interesting because with this focusing. Nobody can imagine that with the new regulations in Salvador, we can inscribe that titles of the tokenization in any other country that have a public register. So it's amazing because the thing that have the collateral, the people can before without the regulation. People cannot link it, the digital asset, with the real world asset. So now with this regulation, you can link it and you are protected as an investor, as a token holder, because the government of Salvador have ensured that all of these new token holders in the projects will be protected for all the rights as an investor that they have. And for me, this is really important as an attorney
that's a
to
huge
offer
unlock.
a product that is totally transparent and is supported for a government as well. But we're going to do it decentralized as well with the setups that I'm so blessed with that. But yeah, BlockRock is focusing in real world assets. And it was actually my thesis master in Barcelona, in the Barcelona Tech of in my blockchain master. I was focusing always in the real world assets and put it mostly real estate projects in the focusing. Actually, I was super inspired for realty, and
they're a great team.
My thesis, it was related with their project and the successful that they was having in states.
Yep. For our audience, realty is a real estate tokenization project. The founders some of them are here in Panama. They've been really innovative in the RWA space, and they've certainly inspired me in some of the things that I've done. And we hope to be very collaborative with them. I think we're close on time. Tom, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, one thing that I would like to actually add in, one of the things that is going to be very beneficial, not just for Costa Rica, but for also Panama, is one of the things that I'm working with the governments and things we're making it possible so that, let's say you have a medical marijuana card in Germany, right? And you want to come to Costa Rica.
Wow.
Your medical marijuana card will soon be accepted in Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, Dominican Republic, and all these other places that I'm starting to set up now. So this is very exciting news for not just locals and people in the region or like expats, but for medical patients around the world who don't have the funds to have good insurance in their own country when they're looking to fly into other countries like Panama and Costa Rica to get great medical care at a cheaper cost. This gives them the opportunity to come get their surgeries, come get what they need, and automatically be inscribed with our medical marijuana programs here so that they can instantly go into one of our medical marijuana pharmacies, our Green Mountain Medicals, and they can purchase their medical cannabis with a universal medical marijuana card.
I love it. I was invited to an ayahuasca retreat in Brazil.
Yes.
This week I couldn't make it. We're here. I think medical tourism and being able to portably bring your credentials.
Yes.
It's a huge aspect of our blockchain ecosystem, and it's amazing that I'm learning this for the first time. This is, it's you're a technologist, and I think that's why we're working together.
Yes.
As a technologist,
Absolutely.
as an innovator, you use the tools that are available. You adapt to the times. I think it's really exciting time to be in these spaces. I think, if I think this was a really great conversation.
Yeah.
It is a
definitely.
good conversation, and I would love to talk more about it soon too.
Absolutely.
Hopefully. Because
Absolutely.
it's very
Really
exciting.
interesting.
Thank you both, Stephanie
you so much.
Sanchez,
Yeah.
Miss Crypto Lawyer,
Yeah, you can
Tom-
follow me as a Miss Crypto Lawyer in any social medias.
Tom McCullen, Marijuana Jesus,
Yes,
and Stephen
sir.
Clark Martin from Tesserus Labs,
Pleasure.
C10N. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Thank you so much for having us,
Excited.
Stephen.
Thank
it was
you,
an
guys.
absolute pleasure,
Yeah.
and we look forward to working with you in the future.
And thank you, Teseras and Red 5 for this
Yeah.
beautiful
And Red Fi and
space.
Absolutely.
Red Line. We
Definitely.
cannot forget about mentioning those guys. An
Absolutely.
absolute blessing.
Yeah, we had a great time on the boat last night.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Almost
It was
made me
amazing.
cry. Sorry.
All right,
We
thank
love
you
him.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.